Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Fear the Walking Dead review. So, a lot to talk about with this episode. I do want to say just right away here that I definitely was disappointed with this episode. I had a lot of expectations in terms of where the story should go. Now, ignoring those expectations in terms of where I thought the story should go, there was some stuff where I was kind of like, well, you at least have to explain that, or that at least has to make sense. And like, none of it really makes sense. And I don't really understand why they decided to bring Dwight, Sherry, June, and Dove to the sanctuary. Like, it really does not make that much sense overall. So anyways, before going further, make sure to be a subscriber if you want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. But let's get into the first thing here with Dwight. So obviously, I guess the last thing that we saw of Dwight and Sherry was that Dwight decided to, I guess Dwight and Sherry basically split up. And Dwight did mention that he was going to go back home. And it was something that obviously people were kind of excited about, whatever. And I guess we literally just kind of see that. Like immediately we just see him go back home and he is already at his house basically when we first start the episode. That right there concerned me because I already knew the ending. As soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, so I know the ending here. They're going to be going back to Padre because there's so much footage of him like at Padre and interacting with like Luciana and other characters. And I'm like, if you're already over here, like you're going to go back there at some point. So I'm like, this is definitely concerning, but let's see if they can explain why this is all happening and why some of it makes some sense. And Dwight, obviously, his whole life sort of fell apart. He just lost his son, lost his partner, and he's just been, very, very upset. And it is cool to see, like the first 10 to 15 minutes, it really felt like a standalone Dwight episode. And I actually enjoyed it. I do think that Austin Emilio is a really incredible actor. And I wish he wasn't on Fear and he didn't have to portray Dwight in a setting where the writing is just that bad, because the character is really great. I really do enjoy the character. And that's one of the things from season 7 and 8, like as much as I didn't really like those seasons of The Walking Dead, Austin Emilio as Dwight was definitely a big highlight, and I want to see a lot more from him. I really do. So I'm a little concerned now because obviously he's going to be in episode 10. And, just with these writers, I'm like, I don't know where they're going to go with the story here. Like, things seem to happen very randomly with these characters. And so they could kill him off at some point. Like, they could actually kill Dwight off here. And it wouldn't be that surprising, I guess, in terms of where these showrunners will take these characters. And so I'm a little concerned now. I will say that. I definitely am worried about it. But seeing Dwight back at his house and all of that and sort of, reliving all those memories and stuff, really, really cool. He meets this other character here. He decides to help this character out. It leads him back to the sanctuary. I didn't like that. That was the part about it where I was like, this makes no sense. Like, this is too random. Like, there's just some things when it comes to storytelling that I just think, I don't know why they try to be so different with it sometimes. And they try to make it creative and try to do something so purposely, like, different, right? And something that's more against the norm in terms of, where you would, or how you would expect Dwight to go back to the sanctuary. It's the same thing as like saying Rick Grimes. Like, for some reason, our characters cannot say Rick. They just won't ever say Rick. They'll just kind of refer to him as like my friend or the brave man or just like other names throughout the years. It's never just like, oh, Rick or whatever. Like, just talk like a normal person. Just say his name. It's fine. But it's like they have to be a little too creative with it, right? And with this, I don't think it's that insane to think that Dwight would just go and see what the sanctuary looked like. Like, it doesn't have to be a whole thing where he randomly meets this one person and then this person leads him to the sanctuary. Like, it actually makes no sense because they went to go see the sanctuary twice in this episode and it really was not needed. Like, the whole other plot with that other group that was there, like, you didn't really need any of that. That really felt kind of random and out of place. And like a lot of what they were experiencing, a lot of, what we wanted to see from Dwight and Sherry wasn't really focused on in this episode. I was really expecting Dwight to, when he goes back to the sanctuary, to really re-experience some trauma that he felt there, right? And the stuff that he went through there. And he did obviously, like, he re-experienced that. We did see some really cool shots, and that stuff was really cool. A lot of the flashbacks to Daryl and to Negan and stuff, very awesome stuff, honestly. Really, really incredible. But it's like, the explanation for why he ended up in those areas, I just didn't really see the point in a lot of it. And I just think it makes a lot of sense for Dwight to be like, you know what? I just want to go and see the place, right? Like, just to kind of walk by it and just kind of be like, what's it like now? It's been several years, like many, many years, right? So like, what's this place look like now, right? Like, I think that would have just made more sense. And then maybe when he's there, he sees something and then there's like drama that starts. Like, it's just, I think that's a lot more organic than just like so conveniently he runs into somebody who needs help and then that person leads them exactly to the sanctuary. Like, it's just a little ridiculous. Like I said, all the Daryl flashbacks are very cool. After a lot of some of the drama happened there, it was kind of cool to see Dwight just kind of yelling at the world and like saying for Daryl to like kill him. Like, he kind of went a little crazy there, but like he was just saying like, Daryl, kill me. Are you there, Daryl? Just kill me now. And, that fear of what Daryl said, at the end of season 8, where he was like, if I ever see you around here, I'll kill you, basically. And, for him to be back in this area and sort of being like, I guess having that fear of like, is Daryl here kind of thing. I thought that was kind of cool. It was nice seeing that. But then again, like I hope that that's not wasted here, right? Like, I do want to see more of that. I do hope that like Daryl and Dwight at some point in the future reunite. I don't know if they ever will, but like Negan and Dwight, I do want to see that for sure. So there's a lot of stuff here that, they used in this episode that I hope that that's just not it with the characters. There's still some stuff between Dwight and Negan for sure. Like there's still quite a bit there, but his fear of Daryl and all that, I'm hoping that he never like overcame that in this episode, because I would like to see them reunite at some point in the future. But we do see Sherry and the rest that they find Dwight, and they basically say that they need his help to, I guess help Padre be safe and all of that. And I just thought, I don't know. That's sort of where my issue is with a lot of this here, is like, you introduce such a big story right at the end. And I think the Sanctuary story should have served as a closer to the character stories, but instead it sort of served as like a reboot to, I guess, Dwight and Sherry's story. And, you see them in a really down place. And then in the end, they decide, oh yeah, you know what, let's go help Padre out kind of thing. And so now that's where they're going. Like, it's so weird. Like, there's 3 more episodes left. Like, it's kind of insane to get into something like that, like right away. Like, it's just, I don't understand that, like that's the stuff where when it comes to the writing of this show in general, like just this season and just the last couple of episodes, I don't understand why moments are happening. Like, just nothing seems planned at all. Like, there doesn't seem to be an overall plan from season to season, an overall theme for the characters at all. Like, when you look at the first 3 seasons of Fear, you can say that there was an actual overall theme. Our characters were sort of, trying to survive and going somewhere. And it's just, I don't know, like the last couple of seasons, the Padre thing kind of tried to connect everything together. But like, Padre also really was not what they made it seem like in season 6 and 7, right? Like, Padre in season 8 just seemed to be something totally different. It was a big letdown. And like, I'm just looking at the story now and it just doesn't really, I don't understand why moments are happening. Our characters just see this thing and then end up over here, which is so convenient because now this thing is happening. And so now they have to go here. And it's like, why is all that happening? You just created that just so you can sort of have almost filler in the episode, just to have stuff happening to fill out like I guess screen time or something like that, just to be able to get to like this one moment. Like, that's kind of what it feels like with Fear the Walking Dead, is like, it feels like every episode is filler, even though it's not filler. Like, that's the thing. It's just like the writing surrounding certain moments is like filler. Like, they're going to the sanctuary. That's really cool. But like, the reason why, it almost feels like filler because it's just so pointless. But this episode just kind of ends with, we see Dwight and Sherry arguing about stuff that they just kind of created randomly in episode 6 of season 8. Like, I literally said this in my review of episode 6 or 5 or whenever those moments happened, where we saw Dwight and Sherry basically split up. And I was like, you know what? This makes no sense to be happening. Like, none of this really makes sense at all. But I bet you they're doing it because they're going to create drama for an episode and they're going to fix it and go back to normal again. Like, that's my whole thing about it all, is like Dwight and Sherry split up and now they're basically kind of back together. I don't know. Like, that's the thing with this. It's the writing that bugs me. The writing really does get to me. Like, I can watch the episode and like, sometimes it's fine, but it's just like, I don't get why this is happening or why this is happening. And I really tried to like this episode because it's going, they're going back to the sanctuary and it was cool to see the sanctuary, I mean, obviously it wasn't the actual like sanctuary in terms of everything put back together. Like, obviously I don't think they had the budget for that anyways, but it still looked pretty decent and still, passed off as the sanctuary. it's been many, many years later. So obviously the sanctuary is not going to be as alive as it used to be kind of thing, because just so many years have passed. But I don't know, like when I heard that, I was like, I was okay with the explanation, but then I was thinking about it more. I'm like, you know what? I feel like the sanctuary should look so much better. And I think that's sort of their explanation, just to explain the budget away, because the budget was probably very low, right? Like there's no way Fear the Walking Dead is getting a crazy budget. Like you're able to see it really clearly on the show. Like you look at the spinoffs like Dead City and Daryl Dixon, and even the ones who live, you can see the quality there. You can see the budget. It's insane, right? Like it just looks amazing. And you look at Fear the Walking Dead and like you can just kind of tell. And like for me, I was thinking like the sanctuary, if anything, should look even crazier now. Like there should be a lot more like moss and like, you know, just like vegetation grown everywhere. Like I know the explanation for at least some stuff with the sanctuary was that a lot of crops couldn't really grow there, this and that. I don't know. So like I'm willing to, you know, to accept some of the explanation for that there. Like I think some of that could make sense, but like the whole place crumbling and shaking, like basically like it was a video game, like, you know, the final moments of a game where like the castle or whatever that you're in is like crumbling and like you got to escape and now you're running out kind of thing. Like I just thought a lot of that was kind of, it just felt so silly to even watch. Like this doesn't really make too much sense to be happening. Like they don't have to be explaining everything away like this. Like none of it makes that much sense realistically to be happening. Like I don't think a place like this would be breaking down that fast, like just out of nowhere. You know, this place was supposed to be very well built before. So like, I don't know, like I don't like the explanation for that. And I just think overall that the sanctuary story that they chose to tell here was a very weird story to tell, considering that there's only 3 more episodes of the show left. It was served as an introduction to like, you know what, I think our real journey here, or our real path basically is Padre, and we need to, you know, keep this place going. And so we're going to go back. And so it just, I don't know. I don't really like the overall direction of that. I'm not a fan of that. And I think I could be, you know, I could be in the minority. A lot of you guys could have liked this episode. I really wasn't that big of a fan. And then the ending, I'm still having a hard time sort of understanding, but I do like the idea that maybe Strand, you know, sort of had this planned overall, because obviously at the very ending, we do see that Strand has Troy's daughter, Tracy. And so it's so random. It's like, well, how did that happen? If this was a plan that Strand had the entire time, and so we just never saw it happen because it was sort of happening secretly during episode 9, or not episode 9, episode 8, then yeah, that's really cool. But if this is something that just kind of happens out of nowhere, then I definitely have some pretty big issues with it. But obviously we'll have to wait and see where they go here. Overall though, you know, in terms of what I thought about this episode, again, a lot of the Negan references, some of the stuff with Daryl was very cool. It was nice to see the sanctuary again. The opening minute stuff, you know, in terms of just seeing Dwight go through all of his emotions and stuff, that was really cool. Some of the explanations for why characters get to certain places and why this is happening and whatever are still always issues. It just seems to be a thing with every episode. There's always an issue with it. Like episode 7 and in episode 8, you know, it's the same problems. Like in episode 8, Madison was getting mad at Charlie because she was supposed to, but like conveniently no one mentioned that they had Nick's ashes until after, you know, Charlie was in a bad place. And then Madison has a change of heart because she just notices then, but then now Charlie's in a really bad place. And now Madison wants her to come back, but she can't. Now she has to go and save her kind of thing. It's just like a lot of little things like that where I'm like, these things are being held back to just, you know, move the plot along. And I wish that there was just a lot more realism here. And that's the only thing really missing here with Fear the Walking Dead is the realism to why these things are happening is completely gone. It feels very cheesy, and the dialogue and everything is just really bad. And that's kind of what it is. You know, there's some stuff on the surface that's really enjoyable, like seeing Dwight at the sanctuary, just like visually, you know, that's really awesome. But yeah, again, I feel like this is really going to be a thing that I mention in every single episode from now on. Luckily, there's only 3 more episodes left, but it just kind of feels like that's overall the thing with Fear the Walking Dead. I don't know, but I'm going to leave it here. Definitely post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.